When he says, knowing what your woman want, knowing how to handle your woman, it's a level of deep intimacy that he's talking about. And you have some woman to Bishop who likes it hard and rough, but to me, at the end of the day, it's what your partner likes.
Whatever
so it's
that
having
means. Welcome to the New Foundation Christian Ministries B1 Marriage Ministry video podcast. I'm your host, Bishop Donald McFarlane, and I'm senior pastor of the New Foundation Christian Ministries located at shop number 21, Kingston, Jamaica. I am happily married to Marlene for 30 years, and we both have a miracle daughter by the name of Abigail. I'm happy to be here in the launch of this very important series. And my able co-host is Natalie Irvin Mattox. Natalie, introduce yourself to me and more importantly to my audience at this time.
Oh, thank you very much, Bishop McFarlane. I am Natalie Irving Mattox. I am also happily married to Mark Mattox for 13 years. I have an adult daughter, Shade, who is also married. I am presently working for a global health program out of the University of Washington called ITEC. It's the International Training and Education Center for Health. I am the deputy director for that program. I am also the executive director for CTEC, a newly formed Caribbean Training and Education Center for Health. Both programs are funded by the U.S. government.
Sure. So as I understand it, you primarily through this funded program provide training for doctors and health professionals.
That's right.
Specifically in addressing what?
Yes, so our program, we work closely with the Ministries of Health in the Caribbean region and globally. We basically provide training in the area of STI, sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. We also provide training in tuberculosis and other comorbidities.
Very, very, very interesting.
Thank you.
But as I know it, you're also belonging to
yes.
church. You're from a church background, are you not?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
I am, certainly. Yeah. I am the director for my counseling, training, and education department at church.
Very good.
Thank you.
Well, certainly, just for my viewers to know that, though honored to be co-host, but truthfully, Natalie, this was your brainchild.
Yes.
You really had a passion for addressing issues relating to marriages, and not just those in existence, but those persons who really look forward to marry. How did this, the conceptualizing of it begin?
Well, this came out of a dire need and a real desire to help people in their marriages. I mean, from my own experience, I've been married, as I said, for 13 years, but I've been married twice to the same man. We had a divorce 2 years ago, and we remarried last year.
No, hold on. You're saying that...
Yes.
No, perhaps what our viewers need to know is that this is really intending, the heart of it is addressing some marital issues.
It is.
And in what we may say is non-traditional
that
way.
Is right.
It's being real.
It is. We're going to try and keep it as real as possible. We'll be sharing real experiences. I'll be sharing about my own experiences. And of course, we'll continue to invite speakers with real challenges, real experiences.
Great.
And this is not just about, it's not a counseling, it's not an encyclopedia that we're trying to create here. Looking at real experiences and challenges that people are facing.
Right. I really wanted to put in that plug so that, our viewers can understand from what angle we come.
Yes.
Hence, get back to the point. So you are saying in your own experience, you have been married for 13 years, but you've been married twice in the
13 years.
to the same man.
That is correct, Bishop McFarlane, to the same man.
Yes.
Right, which shows that people do have some real non-traditional experiences
Yes.
that needs to be dealt with
Yes.
and needs to be shared.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you feel comfortable talking like
Very
this?
comfortable talking about them.
And your husband,
He has no issues
No
with that.
issue with
We
this, huh?
agreed to, be part of this program, and he said, "Go ahead. This is a
Yes.
real. It's coming from the core of my heart.
Yes.
Yeah, I really see a need for this initiative.
right? Because truth to be told, what I really would want us to zero on in this first episode is what constitutes a successful marriage.
Yes.
But I'm not to assume that the fact that you were married twice, that it was not a successful marriage. Somebody there looking on and say, but I don't know that she is a more qualified person to speak to me about that. How would you respond to that?
Well, that's interesting because this program, this is it, especially for this, for the next 4 series. This is what we want to look at. What is success to you? What does it mean to be successful? I mean, everybody's experience is totally different. So those are some of the things that we want to look at. We did a Vox Pop, and so we're going to invite that shortly to look at, other people's views to see what exactly do people consider to be a successful marriage. Yeah.
All right, so some of those issues I'm sure will come to the fore as we listen to Janet Burbick,
Yes.
who took to the streets and got the views of some persons
That's
concerning
right.
this. Well, let's look and hear what people are saying.
Yes, let's hear. So we'll now invite Janet Burbick in the streets. Janet?
Good afternoon. Are you married?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been married for?
A few months. No, I know months yet.
A few months.
Last month.
Good. Now, as a very young married man, what do you think constitutes a good marriage?
One, I think it's key to know the word, because in my experience, in my reading, I've noticed that the word outlines everything in terms of, from a man's perspective, what kind of woman to look for, how to approach a woman, how to handle a woman in the bedroom. All of that is outlined in the word. And the next thing I find key is knowing your partner's strengths and weaknesses. If you know your partner's strengths and weaknesses, and you also know your strengths and weaknesses, then you can cover your partner's weaknesses while your partner covers your weaknesses.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
You've heard
That's
at
right.
least one of the feedback so far, and others to come of what
Yes.
Janet is finding in the streets. I'm hearing this gentleman. Well, firstly, talking about the word. What's your understanding? What word is he referring to?
I guess he's speaking, he's speaking about the Bible.
Oh,
So he's saying basically the Bible would teach you everything about what constitute a successful marriage. To some extent, of course, he's very correct. Everything is really, if you're a Bible scholar, you would find it. If you're a Christian, if you're somebody who believes in God and believe in the Bible, the word is very strong, and it speaks specifically to the essential tenets of a marriage, a successful marriage.
yes. I also hear him. So let's say then you are confirming that the Bible gives a good prescription
That's right.
as to how a marriage should be, engaged into, and the
Yes.
principles by which people abide by, hence to have a successful marriage.
Right.
Yeah, but then he seems to allude to some more practical things. That one of the things he has been talking about needing to know how to handle a woman in the bedroom.
Right.
That makes sense to you?
Of course it does, Bishop. I mean, and he's so right. It to me it comes under the area of even communicating with your spouse and knowing, as he clearly said, and I like that, being real about what you like and what you don't like in the bedroom. Those things are very important in a marriage. If you look at the statistics, some of the greatest things that would cause a divorce or lead to divorce is sex, especially for men, and also women, and money. So of course, it's important that a man knows what his wife desires are, sexual desires are, and vice versa. It is important that a woman knows what her husband's sexual desires are, and he should be able to satisfy those desires.
Now you've said, Natalie, in some ways I concede to you as a expert in these matters, and you are actually agreeing with the respondent that in the bedroom, handling a woman is not speaking about manhandling like abuse, but you mean having an understanding of true intimacy.
Yes, that is
Yes.
it. That's right. You have to know what your spouse want in the bedroom.
But there you go. Now how do you, because this is real talk,
Yes.
right? Now how do you go? You're talking about like sexual positions.
Different types of sex. There are a lot of women who will tell you they like oral sex, they like foreplay. Oral sex is a very good form of foreplay, and so these are some of the things that a woman would tell you. Foreplay is very important, kissing and petting. So I think when he says, knowing what your woman want, knowing how to handle your woman, it's a level of deep intimacy that he's talking about. And you have some woman, to Bishop, who likes it hard and rough, but to me, at the end of the day, it's what your partner likes.
Whatever
so it's
that
having
means.
having an understanding of that, sir.
You are saying this is a real talk, and
Yes.
perhaps we come from different orientation, and
That's true.
I may be a little more conservative, you're a little more liberal, but let's see if we can find some common ground to talk about these issues.
Yes.
Interestingly, I remember many years ago, I'm in ministry for quite some time now, but many years ago as a young pastor, I was out in the field, as they would say, and I came across a member of a church who told me that she was no longer with her husband. And when I asked why, she said, that her husband was very out of order. So I was curious. I asked, what did you mean by that?
Wow.
She said to me, Pastor, can you imagine that my husband wants to have sex with me naked?
Oh my goodness. Which planet is she from, though?
Well, so obviously,
Right.
there are persons who have different ideas about how they go about this. Consequently, where's the place of premarital counseling in all of this? Does it play a significant role as far as you're concerned?
You know what? I'm happy you brought that up. But my experience so far with premarital counseling hasn't really been very real. They talk about sex, but I find a lot of the counselors, and I mean, I'm speaking as a Christian now, as well. They tend not to want to expose things. It's because, especially in Jamaica, where from this culture, sex is like a taboo. So even in counseling, I can remember being counseled at church, and we didn't really talk much about sex. And I mean, my husband and I, we didn't have sex until we got married. He was adamant with that, but at the same time, we had to kind of explore things together. We had to. I mean, I was very much out there and very much a little bit way more exposed than he was. And so I knew how to kind of keep it real, So I looked for opportunity to keep our sex life going and interesting, and we talk about things that we would like, and the things that I like in the bedroom. I was open about that, but these things we didn't discuss in marital counseling, and I think that's a major issue.
But then, but here we go, because the respondent is talking about everything is prescribed in the word. If any institution, certainly is a church that one looks to bring clarity and relevance of the word. But then you are saying, in your own experience, the church fell woefully short of educating. Do you suspect that they still exist in the church? And if so, how do we respond to that? Because most persons, I think I'm right, getting married, still look to the church as the institution through which they get into that. So what's the mode by which we're going to change this reality?
That's a good question, Bishop. I think we really, as a church, we really need to look at these things. Are we really meeting the needs of our people? Are we really keeping it real with them? When we're talking about the Bible, and the Bible says a lot about even sex. The married bed is undefiled, right? What does that mean? There are so many things that we would want to shy away from when it comes to talking about sex with our spouse as Christians, because of how the church sees sex and portrays sex is as if, it's still this taboo, and so people are fearful to even want to be very open about it. And so I think as a church we have failed in terms of these important elements of our marriage. Are we doing enough? And I mean, as a pastor and a senior pastor, I hope that you understand the position that I'm taking here. It's not to bash the church, because I too am very much into the church, and I'm from a very conservative background. And I did my counseling at a very conservative church. And I wasn't happy with they spoke about communication and the three C's and so on, but there was not enough that was done. And after that one counseling session, there should have been follow-up sessions, for us to look at practical things that we do in our marriages.
Yeah. But is there any glimmer of hope? You speak to being director of counseling and health and training in your own ministry.
Yes.
Are you seeing any differences, any emphasis being placed on marriages, on couples, the activities? How are you finding that? Can you speak to a difference?
The truth is, I'm seeing where my church is trying to step it up a notch. We're looking at doing things more as a couple. One interesting thing that I see happening at my church now, in comparison to what I'm used to, we have a couple's WhatsApp group, and we're so open. Anniversary, everybody, the men were throwing things at us, make sure you prepare yourself. We talk about sex, not in a rude way, but it's a little bit open. You know exactly what they're talking about. You hear a man making comments like, make sure you exercise the tongue, so you see people are actually saying it's okay to enjoy your wife, it's okay to enjoy your husband, and I like that kind of atmosphere, because too often as a Christian we think that we're not supposed to enjoy sex, we're not supposed to talk about sex. This is your wife for life. This is your husband for life.
Yes.
And so we can't become bored by our, by our environment. We can't. We have to enjoy each other.
So
that's important. I like that.
If I hear your cork in the interest of time, because this is getting very hot inside this room here, you are saying that good sex is very important to a successful marriage.
That is correct.
So we may have to hold it on that one this time, and we will come back the next time. We are going to be talking much more about that to the audience here. But for right now, I really want to pause to say thanks to Mattox Health and Fitness Enterprise, who have sponsored this episode, and certainly to the man behind the scenes, our one and only George Malcolm Walker, who continues a tremendous work. Natalie?
Yes, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at the New Foundation Christian Ministries. Also, like us on Instagram at NFCM Official, and on Facebook at New Foundation Christian Ministries. We invite our viewers to share their comments with us on all social media platforms. All other contact information and viewing options are below in the description. Thank you.
See you next time.
Yes.